opening those windshield.
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to The Last Mile, weekly podcast that showcases off-brand apps. We talk about Curry, we talk about delivered catering apps, but not the main guys. And, you know, for good reason. The pay rates changed, the safety's changed. And I was supposed to be starting a live multi-stream for all of September. It is still going. It starts next Wednesday and will be a full day of multi-apping. I got 8 apps going. Won't be doing Uber Eats, DoorDash. They're going to be running. I got Curry, I got other ones going. So we will have everything running. I'm going to show you guys offers and we're going to go through it. And throughout those, we're going to have a little display right at, and it tells us that we're safe. Because my guest today, and the reason that I didn't start the live streams today, is that I'm bringing on Abdul. We've had him on before. It's Abdul Kassim. He's the CEO and founder of DisplayRide. And we're going to try our hardest. I mean, look at this. Isn't an infomercial to try and sell you, but we're going to try and sell you on the fact that you need to not take your safety for granted, period. I mean, because, and I don't mean that mean. I shouldn't have said it like that, but I mean it like the minute you'll take it for granted is the minute you need that camera or that footage or something. That's when you'll be like, why didn't I do this? And who knows it's a million things. Who knows what one of the million is? Could be something that, like, a fender bender. It could be your car was totaled by a hit and run. I mean, these are things that where headaches can be very much either solved or avoided. The dash cam just brings safety to people when they notice it, and again, we're going to talk about it here today, but DisplayRide is cloud upload. So we're going to go through all that. But Abdul, thank you for joining.
Pleasure, Steve. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, 100%. And that's why, guys, when I'm doing this multi-apping, if you guys have been seeing my posts, I've been listing the apps I'm going to use. And then I say, and luckily I'll be safe because of DisplayRide. So that's, if you're wondering why I've been putting that in as the apps I'm using, because it is an app I'm using. It's the app in my car that makes sure that I feel safe. I can share it with my son, significant other, whoever you want to. You can share your status. They can look in on you. You don't need to, but you can. There's all these kinds of features that are in here that a normal dash cam can't do. And we'll get to the normal dash cam because I actually have one of my old ones to show you guys today. And I'm going to explain something in case you're a little confused on the SD card. I know most of you know what it is, but I want to explain something that happened on my SD card and why you should not. This is exactly why you shouldn't just go get a dash cam. And again, we've said this. I've had Abdul on a few times. I mean, we've told you guys that, and you can go check for yourself. Most of the companies that make them on Amazon and stuff that you'll find for a good deal, they're not in business anymore. They just have a lot of inventory left on Amazon. That's it. But yeah, it's not like there's support teams and this and that and the other. And obviously, we need to get into the cloud storage and all that it means. But I asked Abdul before we started if we could tweak out the deal for a little bit. And so as much as he can, and you guys got to realize, I know Abdul as a friend as well. I've known him for years. I've had a DisplayRide in my car for years. I'm not trying to nickel and dime him, and he's not trying to nickel and dime anybody else. We're just trying to find that level where you can get in even during tough times. Because neither of us are immune or not recognizing that everybody's struggling. Not just gig workers either. I'm talking about W2, everybody. Everybody's living a little bit under what they'd like to on any level. I mean, are the rich still rich? Absolutely. But they're not as happy as normal even. It's just across the board, but it's hitting a lot of us the hardest. So I'll say hi to the chat here in just a few minutes. See if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, please put them in. But yeah, rolling through the DisplayRide, let's just kind of go through the website itself and talk about some of these things that we've talked about before. And again, stick around because we're going to have a little bit of a price change here. Again, to entice you. It's not trickery. It's to entice you because you should have something, and you should have something that you trust. So I guess before we get into the website too much, Abdul, do you want to because I've explained it till I'm blue in the teeth, not just even display ride, but in general. I've tried explaining this from every direction why a dash cam itself is really, I mean, again, I've had 3. I've got one right here that I'm going to use as an example in a little bit to show you guys an actual problem. But can you explain to people, like, if they are looking at dash cams, like, I mean, on Amazon or whatever, like, what are the best points to tell them? Because I know I have a display ride. I feel very safe with my display ride. It talks to me every 10 minutes. And yes, people have asked, you can turn it off, you can change settings if you do delivery, whatever. But I like mine talking to me. It lets me know it's going. I can also look and see that it's going. But do you want to give your lowdown on that? Because obviously, I don't know if I've even ever asked you this directly, but obviously you got into the dash cam game for a reason. Something was not being done right.
Right. Yeah, Steve, absolutely. I think you hit a lot of these points. And what I'm saying is, I think most of the drivers, most of your listeners will definitely, hopefully appreciate it. But the reality is there are problems. Just today, I think I saw one rideshare driver was attacked. Another
Mhm.
one was actually a couple of days ago. He was driven from Texas to Miami under like he was literally carjacked, right? So these are unfortunately a common experience, and this has been going on for a while. And unfortunately, also the rideshare companies don't care about the drivers, especially as much as I think I hardly need to tell you guys about that, right? So the
Yeah, no.
reality is, this has been a problem for a while, and we actually discovered it. I mean, meaning to say, we encountered this, and what we found, my co-founder and I, was that I mean, it was a relatively, from a technology standpoint, it could be addressed, you know, relatively, more force effectively. But the reality was, like you said, the dash cams, that was the tool that was being used, the two dash cam, the way to sort of document, mitigate these kind of issues. But the reality was there was no solution which was built for that. It was just like, and I'm sure we'll go through this in a bit, but there were the standard off-the-shelf pieces of equipment, which are tools which are hard to use. If something goes wrong, you got to throw them away. So in effect, they really didn't do their job, and these kind of issues continue to perpetuate. And as is evident, even, I mean, anybody does a Google search on rideshare incidents, you can see that, right? Now, so that is what was the genesis for us to create Display Ride. But we built Display Ride for rideshare. In fact, our product is called the Rideshare Monitoring Platform. If you see,
Mhm.
it's called the Rideshare Monitoring Platform. It is not,
Yes.
and I'm kind of, we are just a bit reluctant to say that it is just a dash cam. Although a dash cam is obviously a key and most visible component of our solution, there's a lot of intelligence behind the scenes. The lot of the intelligence is in the software. We use artificial intelligence and a whole lot of technology behind the scenes to make sure it does three things. One is it deters, from any such incidents. The best way to avoid to do something about the safety is to avoid these in the very first place, right? To prevent it. So we have a lot of interesting features. One of which you mentioned, where you have a simple alert, an audio alert which plays, right? Now that is, it may seem very trivial, but it is very useful, we have found, and scientifically proven to deter people who have bad intentions, right? Who are trying to do something or whatever, right? So when you're being recorded, people generally tend to behave better.
Well, plus I was just thinking about it too. Like, if they get in, you're Steve, yeah, your weird name that isn't real on your app. Okay, yeah, let's get in the car. So now they got their 2 guys and me, and they think, okay, there's just 3 of us, and then all of a sudden there's this 4th voice,
Absolutely.
and that's gonna throw it. I got to tell you, that'll throw anybody off.
Absolutely. I mean, beyond just obviously, we want anybody with a malintent, anybody who having a bad thing or
But it also, right, it should also make people who are already comfortable more comfortable.
absolutely. And I think that's a key point also, Steve. It not only does the driver feels reassured that there's somebody watching out for him, so to speak, but also I think the passengers feel comfortable. Obviously not everybody is out to attack you or whatever, but then, you pick up people at, after at a late night and things like that. Women, girls, young, all these things, right? And they're also somewhat nervous. So it's not, it doesn't make for a good experience for anyone, right? I mean, if the passenger is like, like, oh my God, I'm scared to sit in the vehicle. I mean, the driver doesn't feel good either, right? So having something like a dash cam which alerts, it just it introduces a degree of comfort,
Hmm.
feeling assured, you feel thing. So everybody feels better. And guess what? It leads to a better experience, right? Because, oh, okay, I'm recorded, and then you generally loosen up a little bit. You talk to the driver. It's just I mean, you're driving a lot, and it's good to have some passengers who are nice, and it just makes for a better experience. These are things which are not doesn't seem tangible, but believe me, if this is all you're doing full time, it matters. Somebody talk
Well,
well,
yeah.
and things share something about their life, whatever it is, right? But also, guess what? The net impact is important, right? You get a better rating.
Hmm.
Hopefully, you get a better, tip. So
You
there
know,
are
I'll go as far as to say, honestly, if I, okay, let's say 9 out of 10 people look at a sticker in a window, like you send with the camera, like this ride is being recorded for both of our safeties, kind of thing. If somebody sees that, 9 out of 10 are going to say, sweet, not say a word about it and get in. If somebody gets in and says, I have a problem with that, I'm automatically having maybe a problem with the passenger.
exactly,
I might say to them before they make a problem, you know what? I'll cancel the ride. You can take the next ride share and I'll
exactly,
cancel it. No worries on you. But that's for safety reasons, because I gotta say this, you guys. Abdul mentioned one or two things that have happened, but you guys know me with UberLiftDrivers.com, the website for news. All gig news. I've been doing it for 8 years. I have always tried to avoid putting those in because they used to happen often. But killings, kidnappings, Uber teen going wrong, all this, it's happened. I mean, I don't only see one big story per day. There are days I see 4 or 5 from different states, and I'm talking daily now. Every day there's a bad story. So you can keep rolling the dice and saying it won't happen to you, but who's it happening to then?
exactly. So I think that again, and this was just one feature of our product, which is we mentioned, which was this
Right.
audio, right? And you see the impact it has, on from everything from we talked about tips to making comfort to protecting you to deterring bad behavior, right? So that is one component of our solution. So we have designed it, with the ride share in mind, right? We have experienced it, we have sat on it, we've got feedback, and we've built it around it. It's not like a dash cam. Dash cam doesn't do any of these things, right?
No,
There
yeah, I need to stop using the word dash cam with it. I just feel like if I don't, then people are like, "What are you talking about?" Like,
Exactly, exactly. So that's, I think we are a monitoring solution, right? That's why
right,
we,
but if I say monitoring solution, they're like,
of course,
"What?"
no, we understand. Absolutely. I get it. So, but the point I'm making is, we kind of designed it very consciously. So that one aspect itself, has a lot of impact as we notice. But beyond that, right, Steve, we are also doing documentation. We document everything in real time. You don't have to do anything. Like as soon as the car starts, the cameras start recording, and you can see it. It's visible on the cameras itself because there's a screen. You can see inside, outside, and like you said, it will as it starts recording, and it records, and it'll upload to the cloud. Nothing for the driver to do. It's not like you forgot, oh, to turn it on, turn it off, nothing. It automatically does that. So everything is loaded and stored in the cloud. That's another thing we do. And the third thing is, if there's an accident, whatever, it generally sends an alert. It sends an alert to your emergency contact, for example, right? God forbid you're in an accident. It sends an alert to whoever you list as an emergency contact. Hopefully they have a mobile phone number. We usually send a mobile text, and they also get a link. And then
I get, by the way, guys, like I've had it 3 years. I haven't had to swap it out at all. I've had no issues with it. And I take it through everything. Like I take it up to I've told this many times, but I take it up to the mountains. It's -5. I leave it in my car all day and it's sitting in the sun at -5 too. But it's like in the summer, it's down here in Denver and 100 degrees. I put it through some beatings kind of, and it's still great. But it literally it's plugged into my lighter. I don't have to unplug it every time I shut the car down. It's on. I turn the car. It's not another thing I got to think of. It's on. It's rolling. I'm safe. And I mean, he's rolling through some of these features real quick, but these are big, like the cloud storage. You know, I had somebody, I don't know why somebody would would ask me this, but I had somebody say to me, well, what if I need to pull, what if I had what if I had an issue with a passenger and I needed footage from 9 days ago? So I'll be honest, the joking part of me, the first part is, why'd you wait 9 days to need it? You know, like, should have asked for it right then, man, because you get a report at the end.
Yeah.
So just click it and say you need the footage. I don't know why you'd risk that, but it is there. Like if you could say to Abdul, hey, I'm not exactly sure, and I don't know why I put this off, but 9 days ago on Tuesday somewhere between 6 and 8, something happened. You can get that piece of footage.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, Steve, you're absolutely right. So we kind of record everything on the cloud. Again, nothing for you to do or literally, intervene. It's all doing it. But the other thing I was telling you was about if there's an incident or whatever, it automatically sends an alert on the phone of your emergency contact, who can then, they'll also get a link. And if they
Yes.
just click that link, it'll allow them to live stream, do two things. It'll tell you it'll tell them where you are physically, like, your location. And the second thing is it tells them, it allows them to live stream right inside the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
If you're hurt or whatever, right? I mean, it takes a lot of time. You don't know what's happening and things. Whatever it is, you have another person aware of your situation and can intervene, right?
Yeah.
That's critical. Critical.
Also,
Uh-huh.
on that note, I must say, like, it could be a guy or a girl. Let's say you're married and you do rideshare. What It doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man. Let's say that you're doing rideshare and you're married. With everything that's in the news every day, and like what I was just mentioning, yeah, we all have our game on and we got our six on. We're paying attention. We're doing the best we can. But how do you think our loved ones feel sitting at home? Or if they're watching the news and they see that there was an issue in an area they know you potentially are driving.
Absolutely.
I mean, they don't have to sit there and watch you the whole time, but that have the link and go, wait, I want to make sure he's okay. He's not answering his phone.
Yeah. They can get the link and store it and actually, check in on you whenever they want. Again, so that's another thing. Again, you can intervene if there's a problem. So basically, deterrence, documenting everything, and intervention. And another very interesting. I mean, a lot of other things are there, but one other thing which is especially relevant around documentation and is the thing that we offer, which is called deactivation support, right? Nobody even has no. You go to any dashcam company, I give you mine for free, my solution for free, if you can find anybody else doing this, right? If I mean, obviously, I don't need to explain what deactivation is, but you're deplatformed at the flimsiest of reasons, without,
Mm-hmm.
by the way, without the Uber and Lyft telling you what it was, right? They just tell you, hey, we got a complaint, you're off. We don't tell you when or what, right? So we have a system called deactivation support, which at the click of a button allows you to compile all the data from like last 15 days and sends them to Uber or Lyft, right? Now it does two things, right? One of the things we are very proud of, right? When because see what happens is when they tell you, hey, you're Steve, you're deactivated. Yeah, we got to complain. That's it, right? You don't know anything, when, what, who, where. And I know why Uber and Lyft would not reveal that information, because of liability reasons. Because what happens if Steve is crazy and just goes and attacks the passenger, whatever, right? So they don't want to get into that. So they don't tell you that. But now you're left in the hanging. You don't know what to do. And for a lot of them, this is a big source of their income. It's completely shot. More importantly, there's emotional turmoil. I thought everything was fine. What happened? And that kind of stuff. And all of you drivers know a lot of false complaints, a lot of just junk because you'll get a free ride or whatever, right? So with our stuff, right, you just click and it gives you all the data, and you tell them, hey, Mr. Uber or Lyft, here's everything. You tell me. Now that does two things. One is it empowers the driver. The driver is taking control and telling, hey, here's what it is. The second thing it does, I think this is important, and this is really a win-win for everybody. So Uber and Lyft, right? Typically, when they get a complaint against the driver, it's like a verbal complaint usually, right? They call up and
Mm-hmm.
tell, hey, man, this guy. So, but again, they have no basis, right? But they have to believe them for liability reasons, and they deplatform you for safe, just to protect cover their butt, right? That's basically it. But the reality is they don't know, and they don't know but here you're giving them valid, here's all the data, right? Here's all the footage from the last 15 days. Take a look and let me know. I don't think there's any problem, right? But now you've changed the dynamic. you've empowered the driver to say, hey, you put the onus on the on Uber and Lyft. You tell me what the problem
Hmm.
is, and I don't see any problem, right? And for them also, right? Currently, it's kind of a stupidest system. They usually, if you have a camera, they'll call you, ask you all that silly things, right? It takes days, if not weeks, probably, right? In some cases, months to figure out and all the stuff. Here, you're giving them footage, and by the way, our footage cannot be altered, right? It's all done
Hmm.
in the
Yeah,
cloud.
yeah.
It's credible data which can be used even in a court of law. So
Which
now,
in a second I'll show you guys something about an SD card.
yeah,
He's referring to the fact of those can be totally altered.
yeah, you can easily order it. Yeah, so then you've changed it. So that, right? And I can tell you, while we have not tracked it, Steve, but about 90% of our customers who have had who are deactivated, were all, they usually send that, and they're back on, because even for Uber and Lyft, their liability is less, because now they have footage. Okay, nothing wrong or whatever. Occasionally they ask some more details, but then exactly what it is, and they can provide that. So these kind of things are extremely important. One other thing we do, Steve, because of course a lot of your drivers will drive like hours and hours and hours, right? I mean, you don't know.
Oh my gosh. If
Yeah,
not, sleep in the car for a few hours and go right back to it.
exactly. So it's a tough thing, right? So what we do generally, just so you know, is at the end of every day, we send by email to all the drivers all the trips that they've taken. We send an email with what we
Yep.
call time lapse version, because you don't want to sit. Let's say you drove for 8 hours. You don't want to watch an 8 hour video, but you want to
And
just.
there's even links to each one of the ones.
Yes, you can
So
get
it's
the
it's it's
timestamp,
yeah.
location stamp. You know exactly. You get a quick sense. Then you may think, "Hey, man, that guy was kind of weird, right? That person was kind of acting weird. So I may just, let me just keep that. I don't know why he was acting that way or whatever, right? You guys know. I mean, you.
Right. Something on your intuition
Yeah,
radar just went
exactly.
off and was like, dude, this guy might complain about me. And I didn't do anything, but they might.
Exactly. Just, and then you can just click and get that information, right? And guess what? That information, obviously, you get it, and you can store it on your computer or your phone forever. But also, just so you know, that is also triggered in our cloud, and it's stored there for 1 year.
Hmm.
So, just in case, right? Because these kind of things. So we're doing a lot of these things, Steve. And the other important thing, which I am very especially proud of. And by the way, guys, you have to understand, to make things easy and customizable for rideshare, we have to spend a lot of time and effort developing those technologies and things like that, right? We did
Yeah.
that, and this is our
And
camera.
that's why I say to everybody, listen, like, yeah, everything. I was talking to Abdul backstage before we started. I was telling him to go get fast food for my son and I is ridiculous. Like $33, no server, no tip. So I mean, everything just feels like a lot of money. But if you're going to do a dash cam, do it right. This has all those features. Again, it's not a dash cam. It is a rideshare monitoring platform, or actually a gig app worker monitoring platform. I want to make that clear, because
Exactly.
again, you delivery people, when you turn the car off, it runs for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So
So
it says this will shut off in 2 minutes. So if you turn off the car to walk the delivery up, and you have your car just even kind of in 180 degrees angled at the door, it'll see you drop the bag of food off, come back to the car, get in the car, drive away. So if you get a complaint, which this happens a lot, the food never showed up, you've got it of you dropping it and you leaving.
exactly. So, Steve, this is the camera, just so everybody has seen it, right?
Hmm.
So, one thing I'm going to try to do in front of everybody is plug it in, and you get it in a box and you plug it in. You just put it into your cigarette lighter. Like,
Hmm.
you can, guys, you can do a countdown. You can start your clock, and you'll see within about 30 seconds you can install the camera. That's it.
Yep.
You
Oh
just plug
no.
it in,
Yeah.
and here there is a mount. You just peel it off and put it into your
Yeah.
uh, windshield, and you're ready to go. That's it.
And guys, there's a little pin that takes it out too, so you can pull the camera.
Yeah,
Just FYI, Abdul might say this is the right way to do it. I've never taken mine out. I
yeah. You
leave it
don't
in the car all the time, man.
Yeah, that's, you don't need to worry. But there's a wireless card. It's like your phone. There's a
Yeah,
wireless
yeah.
card, there's a memory card, and all that stuff. But you see,
We are audio and video recording this
Yep.
ride for safety.
did you hear that? Okay. And see,
Yeah.
already the cameras are on, and all these things are ready, right? So the other important element is So you saw within 30 seconds you're up and running. You don't need to go to like some of the more sophisticated cameras. You need to go to some kind of a technician to install it or connect to your battery or whatever. This is nothing.
Yeah.
Connect your cigarette lighter. You're ready to go in 30 seconds. You can actually position it because the cameras are on. You can see it so that you can see the front end thing, and then just peel off the sticky here. Just peel it off, put it on your windshield. You're ready to go. The other thing we have, Steve, is one thing you'll notice is we do not require you to download any apps or anything at all. Right?
No, it's a web
Everything
portal.
is connected to your phone.
And even that, I see it on the website always as web portal. But like you already said, at the end of a day, you have an email come. It's everything you can click from there. Any one of the segments you want, you just click it.
Exactly. So any problem or whatever, you can just press. There's a help button here.
Right.
So that's basically it. And here on my phone, I immediately got a text message from DisplayRite with that, right? So that is all there is to it.
Oh, it's immediate. Yeah. I mean, if you guys push that button that you need the last 10 minutes of footage, it's to your phone.
It just comes here.
in 30 seconds, 20 seconds. And then I mean, not that you would need to, you're going to know if you're at fault or not, but before the police even get there, you'll have watched the whole video even. Okay.
Absolutely.
You'll be able to show them just the part. Here it is.
So yeah, I think we made it simple. We've got a lot of features which make sense, as I explained. And again, I think at the end of the day, Steve will explain. We're trying to. Our goal is to get it to the hands of every rideshare and delivery driver.
But
right?
that is, I know that to the user, it's like, okay, but that part isn't my problem. It isn't, but the best, and that's why I'm going to tell you guys in a second the deal that he's allowing us to go to here. It's literally, I know Abdul, I know this is the best he can do. He might even be stretching himself, but to be honest, he's got to remember, it's not just selling a dash cam, keeping a team. He's got to be able to keep the storage, and you guys know I all worked with Para for a long time, the entire length of the business before GigSafe, and to be honest, that is not cheap anymore. Data storage is not cheap, and on mass levels, especially like what Abdul is doing.
Right, Steve, I think the bandwidth is extremely expensive. I mean, everyone has a smart
guys. Remember, also, this is a phone.
Yeah.
You're not because again, I did want to bring that up because on the website it says wireless cloud API web portal. And I was like, man, the wireless might throw people because it doesn't need a wireless. It's not. You know what I mean? Like you guys, this is a phone number. This is like an Android.
It is like your phone. It has its own wireless. It does not.
It has its own number.
Yeah, it doesn't have to depend on your phone at all.
Yeah, it's not doing anything off your phone.
So as you guys know, the cost of your phone per month, you pay about $50 or whatever, right? We are charging you
with the data plan on a good service. I mean, I know there's some cheap ones out there, but if you got like a main good service, you're paying $40 plus a line.
And we are uploading, Steve, about 10 times on. That is the
data that people would use on their phone.
Exactly, because we're doing videos and audio and things like that. So
yeah,
it's extremely.
But what I want to show them too is, okay, guys, most dash cams, some of them kind of look like Abdul's or they're bigger or whatever, and you stick them. I've had 2 of those, and my favorite one that I ever had was this one. Now, this one clamps on your mirror. As you can see, it's a rear view mirror. On the back, there's these clamps that stretch, and they just kind of clamp onto your mirror. From here, all the controlling happens, and there's actually a button right here that if I press, it pulls up right here what it's recording out the front and back, so that the people in the back can see. This was one of my favorites for a long time, and I told Abdul that when I finally got his, and this was years ago, and that's why luckily I still have this. But here's the thing, that you got your cameras here, but when I did pull this off, I pulled it inside just to see, like, because I was like, I'm gonna see what the footage was like anyway. And there's 2 things that happened, and Abdul knows one of them. Right here, guys, is an SD card slot. Now, when I pulled it out, and I live in Colorado, some of you live in much hotter places than me. When I pulled it out, now again, it blinks red here, meaning it's recording. Okay, it has, I can't even remember what it is, 4 gigs of internal storage in case something happens with the card. So, and then it has the card. You can put in any size you want. When I pulled out the card, it was like almost liquefied at the tip. It was melted. And so there was no way to retrieve that data. So this isn't USB-C, and it's just the weird USB-C. I think it's the one that like an Android would plug into, or USB. And so I did that USB mini to USB to see if I could pull the 4 gigs off, and it said nothing on. So there was nothing on the internal. I had already retired it. There's nothing on the internal. The SD card was melted. I am not the only one. This is not a story that nobody's told. I've talked to people who have said, dude, even if it wasn't melted, they needed something from the SD card and it was corrupt. Corrupt is something that happens often with them. So especially if it's just, if you're not like if you're like a photographer, you're keeping very good care of your SD cards. Every day you're pulling them and keeping them in cases and in your house. But if this is just sitting out in your car through all kinds of weather, I mean, I was telling Abdul, who knows how long I was going without that working, because it was saying record. So it was functioning and showing functioning, but it wasn't functioning. It wasn't doing anything.
Even if it worked fine, Steve, even if the SD card worked, I would challenge anyone to take it out, try to get the data out of it.
And then you still run into the problem that we talked about earlier. Even if you do, how are you going to even convince your lawyer these days that it's usable? And that's where I'll stand on all of these with SD cards. He mentioned it earlier that they can be altered. And so even if like your lawyer can look at it and go, okay, I feel confident you're telling me the truth and that has not been altered. I mean, if it's a big case, the defense is absolutely going to spend a lot of time seeing if it's altered. And you might not have even altered it. Maybe it hiccuped and made a cut. If it did, it's going to look altered because this isn't a true timestamp. This works on the time I set on it. So that's not like how Abdul's is stamped because it's a phone line. Like all of our phones read the same time in the same area codes right now, or in the same time zones. Right. Like nobody's like, well, unless you did something weird, but nobody's like, well, mine says 5:42 Mountain Time. Nope, we all say 5:40 right now. It's like, that's a timestamp. You need to have something like that. But this, I mean, was a great camera, but what did it really do for me? Well, this, even if it's not a mirror one, if you're buying one for the, and you're like, oh, this looks cool, it has good reviews or whatever on Amazon, realize you're facing these same problems. And if you live in Arizona or any of the southern states, Florida, anything down there, forget it. I mean, like if it's burning out here, I mean, why would I trust an SD card in 120 degrees? Yeah. So Life of Richard here says, you need to change the SD card once a year because it's always writing. And there is only so many write and read cycles it can get. I mean, and he's just pointing out one issue. Like that's what I'm saying. With the SD cards, there's just lots of issues, period.
Exactly.
So quick shout outs here, because I saw somebody in here that I wanted to actually bring up with you, Abdul, and then I'm going to tell you guys about the price change that Abdul is willing to offer here. So change is coming. How you doing? Derek Ryder. So Derek's a friend of mine. He does some rideshare when he's home, but he used to listen to TNC Radio, Driver Nation, the trucker radio show that I used to do with Tom Kelly for a couple of years. And he was a regular listener. And what about trucking? I don't even think we've ever talked about that.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, any vehicle it can be used. In fact, a lot of our,
I mean, I know clearly it can't go out the back of a cab. You
Yeah.
know, it's not going to get your backside, but they do have, most truckers have cameras on the back.
Right. So, but a lot of our cams are also used in other segments, and not because we push them, but it's because people see the value. They're using in non-emergency medical transport. They're using it in construction vans. All these kind of last mile delivery.
That's what I mostly do, last mile, and I love using it because I go to a lot of places where even I know the place or whatever, and I'm like, it's a good thing I know this place because it feels a little sketchy. It's like,
there's no reason if I mean, from its standpoint, from the standpoint of the device, there's nothing which prevents them to use it anywhere. It's just that our focus was the gig economy was our primary thing, because The fact of the matter is, I think the drivers are especially treated, quite frankly, poorly. You know, they are
Oh yeah.
so
Yeah.
they're given obviously low pay, and generally, like I said, the Uber and Lyft at any point are more apt to listen to a customer's false complaint any day, even when compared to a driver who's got a 5-star rating all the time, right? And that is the unfortunate reality. So what we did was, as a company, was we tried to, we thought we could help them, right? That's one of the reasons we're also trying to, offer this at a pretty competitive price and all these kind of things. We've added these things. None of the, nobody has the kind of features that we have, right? And also, of course, the pricing, as and we have kind of tried to do even, go even further as much as we could, as Steve will talk about it in a bit. But the important thing is, our goal is to get it to every ride share and delivery driver's hands, right?
Yeah.
That's the key. And for I mean, I don't know, it costs about like 30, less than a 30 cents or so per day. I mean,
Yeah.
and I think people sort of think, hey, like you said, it won't happen to me and all that stuff. But I think that is sort of living in a fool's paradise, to be honest. And
Yeah, no, but I'm just at it normally I would have a much, I mean, if everybody was doing a lot better like we all have in the past and just in general as a whole, I would be approaching this a little bit harder. I understand how hard it is for people right now. I'm just saying with as much as anything costs, walking out your front door almost costs money. So and everything costs money these days. This is something you should have. And if you're going to go ahead and do that, like if you're saying, well, when things get better, I'll do it. I mean, it might happen. Something might happen between, I hope it never does, but it might happen between then and when you do it. And that's the problem. So real quick, hey, Derek, hey, Traveler, hey, Kim, what's up? Hey, Ivanaska, hey, Pero, what's up? How you guys doing? Team Pero in the house. Um, and Tommy, how are you? And Life of Richard, how are you? But yeah, so I do want to put this out there because we had a couple different ways that, or we, he has one way of doing it for this amount, and then he was giving us a deal and a break on the monthly. But here's what before the show Abdul said he could agree to. So the next 3 Wednesdays, I am doing full day multi-apping ride alongs with me, doing all this stuff. You're gonna hear that going off. And for all of those weeks, doesn't have to be that day. Code Rodeo will get you 20% off the camera and half price on the service.
right, that equates to $200. Instead of originally it was like $300, but we came down to 250.
And
But
now he's coming down again. So it's actually even more than 20%.
that is exactly it.
$200 for the unit. This is just because, I mean, obviously there's a business here too, but I mean, he's come down enough where he's just trying to get you into the camera.
Right.
I
So
mean, we understand things are hard. I think Abdul does too. We all do.
yeah, we are trying to literally, I mean, again, we're trying to, you can look up any comparable camera like ours, you'll see it'll be like $400 to $500 at least. And you can look on Amazon as well, with obviously similar features. The second thing is, with the monthly, right, we have reduced it 50% from $20 to $10. That's like 30 cents a day, approximately 33 cents, right? Average. The reality is, as I told you, we use a huge amount of bandwidth that costs a lot. But since
Yeah.
we have strategic partnerships with all the wireless carriers, we are able to do that. We reduce it, significantly. Just so you know, right? We, like I said, we consume, on an average, driver will consume, using our device will consume about 10 times as much bandwidth as your phone, and you're paying $50, 40, $50, and we're charging $10 for that, and that includes the cloud cost, that cost, and we also have to do a business. So we are literally making, you know barely anything. I'll be very candid. I mean, it's all pretty open. You can go and look at, anyone can do a Google on the cost of, let's say, 1 or 2 gig. That is the minimum that you will use, if you're uploading videos and audios. Just see what the cost of 2 gig is. It's like $15 or something like that, and we are charging you $10, right? So we can't. I mean, we've been as thing as possible. And to Steve, to your point, you're right, absolutely right. We have been as mindful as possible of the general economic situation, and we want everybody to get on board. I think the only thing I would also add is, interestingly, like you said, people will say, "Hey, let things get better, and then I'm going to buy it." But the reality, unfortunately, what I have been seeing, and what I'm seeing is, I'm sure everybody can see it, just do Google or whatever. But the reality is, when things get worse, there is a higher propensity of these problems happening. People are, whatever, they are in a different state of mind, whatever, losing job, they want to get a free ride, all these kinds of things. So there is much higher rate of incidence during such downturns, during economic downturns, than otherwise. And you don't want to, for like 30 cents a day, you don't want to jeopardize your, jeopardizing your job is, frankly, one of the lesser impacts, right? The worst thing is, imagine being dragged to the court, or worse, even worse. I mean, somebody pulls a gun or takes your car out, damages it. I mean, imagine the headaches, and and all this. By the way, this is an expense that you can also get. You know, it's tax deductible as well.
Oh yeah, guys, if you aren't already, this is all you can write all of it off.
Exactly. So I don't
This
know.
isn't a partial one. This one's full.
And guys, we have been. I mean, I don't know what else we can do. We're trying to do the best we can, without going.
Well, that's why I was trying to say there's the bandwidth, there's it being its own phone line. There's people that you have employed. There's things in place. There's distributing. There's broken units, and I didn't even ask you about that. What is a warranty on a camera, by the way?
2-year warranty. It
2-year warranty.
and if there's any problem, we'll ship it.
Okay.
Usually, the things like you said, we've tested it pretty intensively under lab conditions for I think about 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and minus something. So it can withstand. We have literally hundreds and thousands of cameras across the country. A lot of them, in Nevada, in all these places, in Arizona, in
I mean, even here in Colorado, it gets that hot. And guys, me as full transparency. I will always shoot you straight. I've had one 3 years. I don't have an issue with it.
Yeah. And if it's a piece of hardware, anything, obviously, if anything happens, we replace it again. And I think the important thing is, we're also U.S. company. We are based in Silicon Valley. Very important. We are not like some company out, wherever in China or whatever. Not that there's anything wrong, but the reality is, if you need help.
Yes, they are. Everything's here in country, and we all like that.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. Even the people who are here from other countries like that.
Yeah,
they don't even if the support's from the country they left, they'd rather have it be here.
No, absolutely. I think importantly, Steve, our product and our service is not like a dash cam or a regular dash cam or a software or something like that, right? In our thing, it has to work. When you want it, it has to work, right? And whenever it does, we have to be there if something goes wrong. So we are always here. And we try to make sure that everything is at your fingertips, quite frankly. Imagine if you're in an accident. You don't need to be worried about like, hey, how am I going to get the footage? What do I need to do? All these kinds of things. Come on, that's the last thing in your head. Of course, unfortunately, that's predominant because you need footage. But what we are trying to do is make it easy, right? Make that component easy, not worry about all these things and you have a headache, right? So we're trying to make these things, and we're trying to work for the rideshare community and the delivery community, the gig economy, right?
Abdul, just like, I was just thinking about this, just like you say, don't say DashCam, say rideshare monitoring platform. At the same time, once people have learned about this, don't say rideshare. It's gig apps. Because I barely do rideshare. But I do B2B courier last mile services where I'm up early in the morning. It's dark. I'm going into sketchier situations than I used to with rideshare.
Absolutely. So
potentially, because that's before people are up in these weird locations and stuff. It's just, it feels that much better.
I think we'll change the name to gig monitoring platform. Perhaps it's more apt. I think it can be used in many.
I mean, guys, I had joked with Abdul that, look, I have a kid and he's doing great with driving now, but he's 18 now. He just turned 18. When he was 16, I didn't even think about it. Abdul and I talked about last year. I would have loved to have put, yeah, you can drive, but we're putting this in your car. And I would have used that link, and he wouldn't even have to know, because I wouldn't want him driving bad. Like, oh no, he's going to watch me. But I would have that link to always view in. And I'm not being a helicopter parent. I'm just caring.
We, in fact, a lot of driving schools, Steve, use that, because, you have kids who are 16 years old and they just, parents are like scared, right? Because they're driving for the first time and
Mhm.
all that stuff. They don't know how it's going on. So a lot of people get their links and they can check their kids, see how it's going on and things like that.
And as a parent and as a parent of a great kid, I can tell you, and any of you parents out there know this already, so I'm now waking you up. When you have a teenager that's that age, they have this way of not responding to texts and stuff when they're out. It's really interesting. You're like, I text you like 10 times. They're like, huh, I didn't get them.
It's
Come
universal.
on, man.
It's universal.
But by the way, I wanted to say hi to a couple others that came in, and one of which, what's up, Luis? Luis and I do a lot of stuff to do. We run the para thing, the driverrights.org. Luis and I are trying to run that now that David has moved on to GigSafe and take that over. So Luis, to you, Abdul, Luis runs the largest YouTube active channel for the Spanish community. He
Okay.
has 80,000 plus subs. He's got 400 in the lives. They count on him. So again, he's saying interesting. I'm going to put you guys in touch with an email because I think that even just Luis, if I know you do things like this, and I know you do a lot of political, and like you and I are very in touch. We talk a lot off camera. You should have Abdul on. You should look into this and have him on for your community, because that's a whole community I don't touch on,
Sure. I'd
or
be,
barely anybody does. Really, he owns that space.
I'd
But
be
so yeah. Hey, Gigwise, how are you? And Truth Wars. I am just here for the TV or for the coffee and donuts. Okay. Well, but while you're here for the coffee and donuts, take this in though, because guys, this won't run forever. When like I said, for the rest of the month on Wednesdays. So basically, for the rest of the month, the code Rodeo is going to get you, instead of $300 that turned to 250, still think 300. It's going to turn 300 into 200. You got a 2-year warranty on the camera, and you're getting half price on the cloud upload. It's a free phone line. I said to Abdul that, if your phone were to die, or let's say you lost your phone or something and your car broke down, you can hit help on there because it's a phone line. If you have another dash cam that isn't tied to the cloud in an actual monitoring platform, try doing it on there. Just push all the buttons, see what happens. Guarantee you'll be sitting there the next morning. But I mean, like, it is like, if I can't, I mean, I'm sure there are other things too. That just sounds like this weird one, but anything that might happen, and then maybe you run out of gas, your car breaks down, you're in a weird spot. Yes, you can't pick it up and make calls on it, but there is a way to alert and make it so that, hey, I'm having issues.
We have there is a GPS, obviously a GPS locator, so you know exactly where the vehicle is and where all those kind of things. So yeah, it is. You're right. It has some intelligence and it can be used. The other thing is we try to keep.
I mean, but even the basic part of it, like the help, I'm, and what, like, I mean, you have a response system in there if you're not responding.
Yeah, I think the other aspect is we try to connect everything to the driver's phone, so that way you don't have to worry about going somewhere, figuring out, logging on to a website, all those kind of things, and that also ensures privacy and things of that sort without the complexity, right? So we made
Mhm.
it straightforward, nothing for you to download. I showed it live in front of you. It takes about 30 seconds, not less than 30 seconds to install, so you're ready to go. I mean, just keep yourself safe. Please, things are getting rough, and it's for yourself, for your loved ones. I think you owe it. You
And
really.
guys, this we don't even have to be telling you this. There was a time when, I used to bring Uber, Lyft driver news over to here. I always still do, but I would occasionally bring those just extreme violent stories, but I didn't report on them like a rideshare professor who's been on this podcast many times. Like, he reports on that a lot. I don't have like a database of that stuff, but you don't need it anymore. Open the news any day and type Uber or Lyft into Google, hit news, and I swear you're going to see 1 to 3 stories on page 1 about somebody that got kidnapped, murdered, carjacked, something every day. And that's where we're at. And Tim has this question. And this is a big question, because I know how it should be,
Video recording
but
this for
What do you
Yeah.
think? Any ideas if this would lower insurance?
We hope so. We are working with some insurance companies and we're trying to reduce it. Obviously, I think, because the risk is reduced, right? Simple as that. And so if the risk is reduced, insurance rates are based on how risk you are, risk profile, basically, right? So we are hoping, but insurance companies are generally not the fastest movers and they drag their feet. These are big companies and
I also would have a couple
right.
questions about like personal information. Like I remember when Allstate launched their, like we can do telematics through the app. Just run it when you're driving. And then I've been with a insurance company, the same one for 23 years. I'm going to just say that. It used to be, might be Allstate. It used to be that a good driving record broke it down a bit. That hasn't happened in the last 11 years. Mine has gone up even with a good driving record. Doesn't matter. Goes up every year now. There's no more discount. So, but what I would wonder is when they wanted me to run that telematics app in my thing, why? Because you're not even giving me a break on my insurance anyway. Why would I want you tracking me?
Exactly.
And I mean, like, is it okay for my question from Tim's, because do I want the insurance company to have that?
Right. That's a fair question.
Even good info.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just feel like, dude, they don't do things nice for me. They're just looking to get me in any way.
At the moment, they're just collecting your data and putting it in their in their data models, and probably 5 years from now they'll probably try to work something out to get a better sense. But yeah, I mean, I think universally everybody's insurance rates have gone up, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
but I think what we are seeing is some new insurance companies, smaller insurance companies, trying to address the gig economy. The thing, Steve, that you mentioned very interestingly, um, was about this gig economy, right? We're talking about gig, right? It's not just
Hmm.
the reality of it is the gig economy is still in its infancy. You know what I mean? It's not
Oh
really
yeah.
thing. And in fact, that is the reason, right? Our solution is for one of the first ones addressing this gig world, if you will. Otherwise, you just have standard dash cams and so on. Same thing with the other industries like insurance, for example, as we talk. So these are very slow moving and they're not conform to the reality. They're force fitting. They're taking their existing things and pushing it into the gig economy. It doesn't fit properly, as is evident, because you have private driving and you have commercial driving, all these kinds of things, right, which are separate and all that. They just push everything, and they doesn't take into account the uniqueness of the gig economy. Same thing with like our product. That's why we built our product as well. It's
Hmm.
wanted to build one for the gig economy, not one for you take an existing platform and just force fit it.
No, and in fact, I wanted to this I was saving this for kind of near the end, because I'm even wondering, Abdul, if you've heard of this. This just happened yesterday. And I want to point out something, because I always try and point it out before the gig companies make an action on something that happened, but a huge ruling happened in the state of Georgia yesterday. The case has been going on for about a year. We all know that the gig companies say, when you want to do rideshare, let's say, or whatever, upload your insurance. Yep, verified. They're not checking to make sure you have the right insurance. Well, there's a case, or now in Georgia, they have, after a year-long battle, they used an older trucking case to prove that the company providing the truck driver the truck has to be responsible, period. That
Mhm.
there can't be this, well, we're responsible in period phases 2, 3,
Right.
half and 1, none and 0. It can't be like that. So now Georgia is passing that they need to check that you have correct insurance, because in the end it's on them. So if your insurance doesn't want to play ball with Uber has to pay the full thing and deal with it. So here's my question. Number one, you guys want to see something funny? Watch when this goes into effect, how quickly, the same day, I'm going to tell you right now, the same day Uber Teen will be gone, proving to you that Uber Teen was never safe and they knew it. At least there. I don't know about everywhere, but they're not going to, if they're going to be held responsible for everything the driver does, they're not going to let you take teenagers on a company. They're not going to do it. But the other thing becomes, if that happens, do they start checking insurances? And like we see everywhere, does it start spreading to other states? Because other states are looking for any angle to get in on this stuff now.
Right.
And so, like, if that's the next play, that's a scary play, because dash cams will become extremely more popular than ever. And in fact, I know that Jeff over at Mike Drop Barbecue, I know Sergio, I know me, I know we all tell you guys to get private rides. It's time to get your own private clients. Who's got you then? You better have a dash cam running then.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing private clients outside of the apps, you better have a dash cam running, because that's going to be all you got.
Yeah, I mean, the cameras everywhere right now, not just, so obviously all the more reason to have a camera within your vehicle, especially when you're sitting with a stranger, who's usually, we don't know what his mood is, you don't know anything about the background, notwithstanding the alleged, what do you call this, customer verification. What the hell does it do? It just proves, oh, you're Steve. Who knows?
Mhm.
Steve may be a crazy person, he may be in a bad mood. All that, there's no information on that. So I
To
think
be honest, it doesn't even prove it's Steve.
exactly. We know that people go around it. So I guess the point is, you're sitting with a stranger at odd, crazy times in crazy locations, and you are at their mercy also when something goes wrong, especially if they
Mhm.
have a false complaint. So I think it just makes sense. So I hope people, you know, get it and try to not wait for an unfortunate incident before they decide to do this, right? For the sake of the families and their loved ones, I think, at the very least.
And again, that's where I would mention, I mean, I know a lot of people live alone or whatever too, but even if it's a child, even if you part-time parent, whatever, somebody that worries about you, whoever it is, and you want to give that person a link, that's a thing. I think that's a thing where they can contact you and say, "Hey, it looks like you're falling." I mean, who knows? Maybe they call you and say, "Hey, it looks like you're really tired. You're kind of falling asleep." I mean, I'm just thinking outside the box of just random stuff. They might save your life by getting you off the road because you're too tired. Who knows? Or they're worried about you and they can't get you on their phone, and you can't talk because you can't reach your phone because you're doing a ride share to the airport, and they're concerned for whatever reason. They just want to make sure you're okay. They can do that. I mean, there's just so many features that you just don't get with any other dash cam. And the cloud-based ones have, it's Abdul and or Display Ride, and I don't know who else really. I mean, the other ones are more, and I can't speak for their service, and I won't, because I don't know what they do. I know that if I email Abdul, he gets back to me the same day. I know if I contact the support team, they get back to me the same day. So I've now seen it work, and I'm giving you guys my take on it for 3 years is that it's not, they didn't have a honeymoon period. The service hasn't fallen off. It's great. It's what it is. It's what it should be. And that's why you're paying for it. But if you use the code Rodeo, you're getting a huge deal, guys. $300 to $200 for the camera and half price a month on the service. And that service comes in handy all the time. It does. I'm telling you, I told last time I did one with Kim and Abdul, I think, I saw a lady get crunched by an expired tag from like 2 years ago, not just months. It wasn't even this calendar year. But it was like the beginning of this year. So it was the beginning of 2024. It was like a 2022 paper tag expired. Truck nails this old lady on Colfax. He jets off, hit and run from the scene. I got it all. And I went across the street to the lady and said, "You okay?" And she said, "I think so." She was in probably her 60s, 70s. She said, "I think so." And I hit send me the footage. And I waited with her till the police got there. When the police got there, I showed them and I sent it to the police officer. I'm just saying that's how quickly it happens. Now, was that car stolen or something? Maybe, but it's a lot easier to catch it when I can show it to the cop and go, "This guy nailed her." You
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. I think I think to your somebody talked about insurance. I think one of the things we do is, like, God forbid if there's an incident or whatever, you have actually footage, right? And that is credible, as opposed to, as if there's an incident, they come, they wait, they'll spend a lot of time investigating what happened, your version. It's still the same thing. Having a incontrovertible evidence like this which is video and in some cases audio, you basically tell them, hey, here it is, and it's win-win for everybody, right? So
Oh yeah.
there's a cost, it makes it credible, and you just
And
want,
don't forget about states like mine, Abdul. I think you and I talked about this. Like in Colorado, if you call 911, somebody just rear-ended me. They said, "Is everybody okay?"
then they want
Yeah, they're like, "Just exchange information and make sure your cars aren't blocking the road, please."
exactly same here.
We're too busy for that. And I get it, but at the same time, man, how much better would it feel to have that video? Because I'll tell you, it sucks walking away. I've been in one of those. And I'll tell you, it sucks walking away from it. It's like, I just don't feel comfortable. There's no real documentation of this. It's just we just took some pictures and exchanged.
Your word and versus the other person's, right? I mean,
Yeah, and then if you leave there, exactly, if you have to take it to court, it's going to become just your word against theirs, and those usually never end to
exactly.
anybody's advantage.
Exactly. And imagine the turmoil, the headache, you make a case, you have to write. I mean, it's just a nightmare.
To
So,
be able to tell the person, like, even if you like, if you're the one rear-ended, let's say, because in any situation you could tell them, but whatever. But if you're rear-ended and they're like, yeah, let's just exchange information, you can tell them, I also have the video. I'll send it to you just so you have a copy. You can tell them that just so they know, dude, I better not skip out on this guy or try and avoid him.
imagine, I mean, it just saves a lot of time and a lot of energy, lot of grief, lot of headaches and things like that. So I really hope, I mean, it should be evident to anybody who drives, right? Anybody who's aware of these things. So
I would
hopefully,
think so.
without, I think we've given hopefully an unbeatable offer. So we've given literally a cost. I want to be very clear about it. We've given it cost. This is not available to anybody at this rate.
Yeah.
For
Guys,
the,
I mean, you have to, and don't forget to use the code. If you do
yeah,
go there, use the code, because otherwise you won't see this deal. You're not going to see it.
exactly. If you go to a website, it'll cost you $300 and $20.
Yeah. I mean, if you just go there blindly, it's going to be 320 a month.
I think much to the chagrin of a lot of people within even in our team, because we are literally cutting costs to the bone. But I've decided that we'll make it happen because we want more and more people to just have it and not have a reason not to have it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the only thing weird that'll happen is once we get out of these extremely tough times, there will be people going, "Didn't you get that for 210?" And it'll be like, "Yeah, dude, you missed out. Sorry."
so hopefully nobody will miss out.
Yeah, guys, that's what I'm saying. Don't miss out, because and it's not just about the deal. Like, it could be $500 and $50 a month. If you were rear-ended tomorrow and it wasn't an illegal tag and it was a real tag, and the guy was worried about too many tickets already or had been drinking and takes off, and you don't get his plate number, all you can do is give a description. If you have the video and it's a legal driver, you've got him. And this goes for your personal time too, because my display ride runs anytime my car goes. Like if I'm driving up to the mountains, if I'm going snowboarding, if I'm working gig apps, whatever I'm doing, my dash cam's going. So, I mean, that's how much data. I'm pointing out that's how much data is being used. That's a lot. That's a lot of data. And so we can all see, I think we can all see why it has to be a certain amount of money. Guys, understand this is the all-time low. This, you're not going to get it ever lower than this. I've known Abdul for 3 years, and I know he's doing his best to keep it down for everybody and make it so that it's affordable to us. And honestly, I mean, at some point it's going to have to go up. It is. And even the normal price it's not out of, if you have the money, it's worth it. But if you can get it for this deal right now, again, guys, it's just this. I don't know, Abdul, do you have any final words? I think we covered a lot.
No, I think, I mean, we are obviously any questions, follow-up questions, anything you come across, please let us know. I mean, either through Steve, or you can just send us an email at info@dlivrd. Yeah, we are happy to,
Yeah,
again,
so audio podcast listeners, info@displayride.com.
yeah, exactly. And so we'll be more than happy to help. I mean, we look forward to serving you guys. That's how we look at it, as a service. And we are part of the gig community, and we are trying to do the best we can. We hope you will help us support you. That's
And the last words I'll say, guys, is like, look, it can be sent right to Legal Rideshare. You guys know we did some work with Legal Rideshare. It can be sent right to them too. Then they give you a free consultation. And I mean, just in case you're wondering, maybe some of these creators you don't vibe with. I think you will with most of them, but like, look at it. Sergio and Chris, Torsten, we all endorse this thing. We're all on board with Abdul.
Yeah, everybody's
Like, we all agree this is where you go.
yeah, everybody's using it, just to be clear. So it's not like, it's a paid endorsement or anything, because they are using it. So they're
Mhm.
user standpoint. So, and I think at the end of the day, even, I think a lot of you all, like Sergio, you and others, have a big community. So I'm
Mhm.
sure you won't risk endorsing a product which, you don't believe in, because I mean, even if
Oh,
you,
I never.
yeah,
People in here know I never do.
so yeah, so
Never.
at the end of the day, it has to work. It has to work like as we put it out there, and it has to do the job, and we are confident about it. And obviously, you guys have experienced it, which is why we've got the endorsement, and we are very grateful to you. And we just want we want the community to step up as well, because it's in their interest. It's in everybody's interest. The whole, like I said, it just make for
100%.
a gig experience, right? Whether it's delivery or rideshare, for everyone, it's a great experience. So, thank you so much, Steve, for the opportunity. Really appreciate it,
Of course.
and look forward to hearing from your community.
Yeah, guys, every Wednesday for the next 3 for the rest of the month, I will be live. Last miles an hour that I do every week, but I'm going to be live in my car for like 7-8 hours doing multi-apping. And sometimes I get, I'll get burnt out. It's a long day in the car, man. So you're going to see me get burnt out and everything, but you're going to hear that display ride thing going off. And every time I'm going to plug it, because when those 3 weeks are done, then what? Don't miss it. I know times are tough. But if you can find that extra money for anything, and you're finding it here and there for something, your safety should come first. And even for your family's sake or your friend's sake or whoever counts on you. So with that said, I mean, don't put this off anymore. And I get it. I do get it. Abdul gets it. We both get it. It is tough right now. But even in tough times, you gotta weigh safety. You got to, or else you shouldn't be doing it. You shouldn't be putting yourself into potentially unsafe situations without having all the tools you need.
Yeah.
You just shouldn't. So with that said, guys, thank you for joining us. Make sure to check it out. It's easy. I got it in the show link, displayride.com. I don't know, like, if you were to go do it right now, there will not be the $200 discount, because Abdul and I just talked about it before we started. So I don't know how long that might take, but hopefully quick.
Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah, even if it is not, don't worry. Go ahead and order it. We will,
Yeah, because if you put in code Rodeo, I guess you'd
So,
see that and you'd go,
the way
okay.
it works, Steve, just so you know, even if somebody puts, right, so we don't charge. We just check the credit card. We don't charge the credit card. We charge only when we ship the device.
Right.
So hopefully,
I just mean on their screen, though, they might see it
yeah,
wrong.
yeah. We'll make sure that they'll get.
I mean, I guess I'd say it this way. In the end, know that you'll get the same $10 a month, but you'll also see another 50 discounted
yeah,
in
absolutely.
what you see. So, yeah, with that said, thank you, Abdul. Thank you, everybody. And as I always say, and the first one being exactly related to this, be safe, earn smart, and be good to each other. Okay. Peace, everybody.
Shield drivers snapping